Wow.
I await your
I was
command.
expecting to be like, I hate this. Why are you doing this?
So, full of questions, are you?
Um, no need, because I'm not going to win one. I think I already gave her 2 anyways. Yeah, I did.
Well, that
Oh, is there
depends,
anything?
does it not?
Plymouth
What does
is
she
as she seems. Is
seem to
Plymouth the same
be?
as she is? Or whatever that was. Sorry, I'm going to use the playing position where you don't need to. Say these. Um, powerful Maleficer.
You mean, is she truly the Flemeth of legend and story? Tell me, how much do you know of the tale? The one that the chastened still tell of my mother, to frighten them into obedience.
Um, I've heard a little of it.
No doubt such a tale has mutated much over time and telling. I can relay what Flemeth once told me herself, and you can decide whether or not 'tis the truth, if you desire.
Uh, that sounds interesting.
As the tale is sung by the bards, there was a time when Flemeth was young and beautiful, a fair lass in a land of barbarian men, the desire of any who saw her.
Yes, I've heard this part.
The tales say that Flemeth fell in love with Osen the bard, and fled the castle of her husband, the dread Lord Conabar, and that he swore vengeance for her infidelity. In truth, my mother claims that 'twas Osen who was her husband, and Conabar the jealous lord who looked on from afar. Lord Conabar approached young Osen and offered him wealth and power in exchange for his lovely wife, and Osen agreed.
Flemeth must have been angry.
The life of a bard is a poor one, and love fades in the wake of hunger. 'Twas Flemeth who suggested the arrangement. All would have been well had Lord Conabar kept his end of the bargain. But he was a foul man who bargained with coin he did not possess. Osen was led off to a field and slain, left for dead. Flemeth spoke to the spirits and learned of the deed, and swore revenge.
Um, so she truly loved Osen then.
That was not the point. Conabar had no honor, so she would not have him. Flemeth begged the spirits to aid her, and 'twas they who slew Conabar. The demon the legend tells of came later. Lord Conabar's allies chased Flemeth, you see. Chased her to the wilds, and there she hid. There she found the demon, and he made her strong. The legends all speak of the great hero Cormac, he who defeated Flemeth and her great army when she invaded the lowlands centuries later. All lies.
Which? She never invaded or he never defeated her?
The truth of the matter is that there was never an invasion. As Flemeth tells it, the Chastened never raised an army under her banner, and she never fought with any warrior named Cormac. Cormac led a brutal civil war against his own people, and later claimed it was to vanquish evil that had taken root amongst the lords. Thus, he was hailed a hero. Flemeth was only attached to the legend much later. Perhaps 'twas due to the great war with the Chastened that eventually came, but Mother claims not to know how it began.
Do you believe her version?
I do not believe everything that Flemeth claims. Oft it seems her bitterness has colored her memories. But on the whole, yes, I believe this tale, if not all.
How is it that Flemeth survived so long even though we've given you the grimoire already?
The demon within her has transformed her into something else. An abomination, perhaps some would say. I know not. I only know my mother is clever, and she is part of the wilds as it is part of her. But she is no immortal. She bleeds. A blade in her heart would kill her like any other, were it lucky enough to find her.
The legends tell of Flemeth having many daughters.
You ask if I have sisters? I have asked of this myself. The stories tell of many witches of the wilds after all, not just the one. And these tales existed long before I did. Flemeth refuses to speak of other daughters, if they existed. So, should I believe I am her first? I doubt that too.
Why would she refuse to speak of them?
The Chastened tell of a falling out between Flemeth and her daughters. They say that one day she hunted them all through the wilds and ate their hearts. It may be true. I have never seen another witch or heard of one. Perhaps one day Flemeth will eat my heart as well.
Well, about that, I think we're supposed to have this conversation long before. It was just the first time I played this, I think. I must have said something wrong because she got very angry at me for asking this question. So I'm actually kind of shocked how pleasant this is going. Aren't abominations usually insane horrors?
How often is this usually? Always? If not always, then when is it not true? There are more things in this world and the next than you or I could ever hope to understand. What Flemeth became is a mystery. I suspect, even to her.
An interesting story. Thank you.
Flemeth tells it with far more embellishment than I, but you are welcome. Dare I ask of your own mother? Few are abominations of legend, 'tis true, but I find myself curious, nevertheless.
My mother died. Recently, in fact.
Ah, then you have my sympathies, for what it is worth. Which is very little, I am certain. It matters not. Let us move on.
Yeah, I remember her getting very angry at me during that conversation. Oh well.
I await your command.
I'd like to ask you something?
So,
Is there
full
more in
of
here?
questions, are you?
No?
I await your command.
Is that something personal?
We are in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any.
I feel like this might lead to her thinking we... Okay, one sec. Let's quick save that.
I await your command.
This might also be
We
something
are in
we've
camp,
had
so 'tis as good a time as
a
any.
discussion with her, but why are you still here?
Because I need your help with my mother, of course. Why else? Why? Do you wish me to leave? I can do so if you prefer.
No, I don't want you to leave.
Then I assume our discussion ends here.
Okay. Yeah, oh, that's the one she doesn't like. Oh well. We just lost everything that's happened, but who cares? Yeah, I don't worry about her affection levels too much. Let's do Liliana last.
Here I am.
There you are. Care to answer some questions?
Oh, this should be good. Go ahead.
What does it take to become an assassin?
Well, the Crows would have you believe that it is an involved process that takes years of training. The sort that tests both your resolve and your endurance. Survive that process and maybe, just maybe, you're good enough to start being considered one of them. But quite frankly, the truth is that all it requires is the desire to kill people for a living. It's surprising how well one can do in such a field.
You do quite well, no doubt.
Within the Crows, I did. But it has been something the Crows have devoted a great deal of time to perfecting. An assassin simply specializes in striking from stealth, and in maximizing that first attack to be as lethal as possible. Debilitate your foe, either by poison or by crippling their limbs, makes any follow-up combat you need to engage in that much simpler.
That sounds like it could be useful.
See? Getting paid for the act is beside the point. An assassin is more a tactical choice than a lifestyle. Of course, the Crows like to pretend that their abilities are trade secrets, shrouded in shadows and wrapped in a blanket of mystery. So let's just keep this between you and me, shall we?
I'm Liliana.
I've a question, if I may.
Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. I swore an oath to serve you, yes? And I understand the quest you're on, and this is all very fine and well. My question pertains to what you intend to do with me once this business is over with, as a point of curiosity.
You can go if you wanted.
Could I? And what if I didn't wish to leave?
There's always a use or two for a handsome, it's flirting, but, whatever. Yeah, there's always a use or two for a handsome elf.
I'm sure I could come up with a few more if pressed. It is good to know what my options might be, but that is for another time. For now, we have much to do, yes?
Because it's still true. I could still find lots of use for him. Did I not just ask him this? I think I did. Care to answer some questions?
All right, but I get to stare at you luridly while you do so.
Dude, not romancing you either this time. Your romance was boring. Did we already ask these? I don't remember now. Why did you want to leave the crows exactly?
Well, now, I imagine that's a very fair question. Being an assassin, after all, is a living, at least as far as such things go. I was simply never given the opportunity to choose another way. So, if that choice presents itself, why should I not seize upon it?
But what would you rather do?
Now that you mention it, I am not entirely certain. I was but a boy of 7 when I was purchased. For 3 sovereigns, I'm told. Which is a good price, considering I was all ribs and bone and didn't know the pommel of a dagger from the pointy end. The crows buy all their assassins that way. Buy them young, raise them to know nothing else but murder. And if you do poorly in your training, you die.
And that system works.
Of course. You compete against your fellow assassins, and those who survive are rightfully proud of it. In Antiva, being a crow gets you respect. It gets you wealth. Gets you women. And men. Or whatever it is you might fancy. But that does not mean doing what is expected of you always. And it means being expendable. It's a cage, if a gilded cage. Pretty, but confining.
So what is it you fancy exactly?
At the moment, I happen to fancy you. Which is handy, as I happen to be following you about the countryside. That is, of course, presuming you don't decide to kill me at some point. It spoils the mood, I'm told. As for what I'll do in the future, presuming that there is one, I truly can't imagine. It might be interesting to go into business for myself, for a change. Far away from Antiva, of course. For now, naturally, I go where you go.
Won't the crows eventually find you?
Eventually can be a very, very long time, if one plays one's cards right. Come now, enough chit-chat. Talking about the crows summons them, you know. Any Antivan fishwife could tell you so.
Wouldn't that mean that's not necessarily what's gonna happen? Care to answer some questions?
All right, but I get to stare at you luridly while you do so.
Do you actually enjoy being an assassin?
And why not? There are many things to enjoy about being a crow in Antiva. You are respected, you are feared, the authorities go out of their way to overlook your trespasses, even the rewards are nothing to turn your nose up at. As for the killing part, well, some people simply need assassinating. Or do you disagree?
You've never killed an innocent?
Now there's an interesting word, innocent. How many men do you know who can claim to be truly innocent? But
Civilians?
if you're talking generalities,
In a
such as
general
children
sense.
and relatives and bystanders and such, never on purpose. But it happens. It's unfortunate, but death comes to us all. If not me, then some wasting disease, or a fall down the stairs, or at the hands of a darkspawn. It's all relative in the end.
I suppose that's true.
Death happens, as we like to say. And when I get paid for it, death happens more often. As far as enjoying the act of killing itself, why not? There is a certain artistry to the deed. The pleasure of sinking your blade into their flesh and knowing that their life is in your hands.
Would she? I don't think so. Because usually people who attack first. Like, Darkspawn's one thing, 'cause that becomes protection. But even if you're protecting, it doesn't mean you enjoy it. Why not? I take no
It is
pleasure in
not
killing.
pleasure, per se. Nothing sexual. It is more a sense of satisfaction. A feeling of power. Does that make sense? No matter. There are many things I did not enjoy about being a crow, of course. Having no choice, being treated as an expendable commodity, the rules. Oh, so many rules. But simply being an assassin, I like it just fine. I will continue to do it if I can, even if I am not a crow. Honestly, could you picture me doing something else?
Nope. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because it's like, oh, so many rules. Like, sounds almost exactly like Lilian going, oh, so many shoes. Except for in a slightly different tone, because he's like, oh, rules. And she's like, ooh, shoes. Yay, shoes. It was just the same sentence structure. And I found that interesting. Why not? You can do whatever you like. Which is, no, I suppose not. Because, yeah, he's very much an assassin.
Somehow that sounds less complimentary than I had anticipated.
Sorry.
Of course, all these thoughts are moot. Chances are still good that you and I will perish, eaten by darkspawn or slain by the crows at some point. Very gruesomely, I imagine. But it is pleasant enough to chat about. Come, let's move on while our boots still have some wear in them.
Yeah, oops. Oh well. But yeah, I like to think of him as the assassin. I'm not doing good with keeping them happy. Care to answer some questions?
All right.
Okay,
But I get to
we've
stare
done
at
this.
you luridly while you do so.
So tell me about your adventures.
My adventures? I'm hardly an old man just returned from across the ocean, am I? Should I shake my fist at nearby children while I talk about the good old days?
You certainly talk like you've had adventures.
Falling down a flight of stairs is an adventure.
Is it?
Falling into someone's bed, also an adventure. I am assuming what you're looking for are professional anecdotes. Let's see, my second mission ever for the Crows was a bit intriguing. I was sent to kill a mage who had been meddling in politics.
Meddling in politics, how?
How should I know? I got the impression it involved sex, but then I get that impression about most everything. Odd, really. As it turned out, the mage in question was quite a delightful young woman. Long, divine legs, as I recall. I caught her in a carriage on her way to escape to the provinces. After I killed her guard, she got down on her hands and knees and begged for her life. Rather aptly, I might add. So I joined her in the carriage for the night and left the next morning.
And she didn't try to kill you.
Well, yes, twice, actually. Then she decided to try and use me instead. The woman had actually convinced me to speak to the crows on her behalf. What can I say? I was young and foolish at the time. Then, as I was kissing her goodbye to return to Antiva City, she slipped on the threshold and fell backwards out of the carriage. Broke her neck. Shame, really, but at least it happened quickly.
So you didn't actually kill her.
Not actually, no. I was a bit unimpressed by the development at first. Then I found out that she had told the driver to take her to Janellen instead. She had planned to lose me in the provinces. I would have looked very foolish to the crows. As it was, my master was very impressed that I had done such a fine job of making it look like an accident. The Circle of Magi was unaware of foul play, and everyone was happier all around.
These sort of things happen to you often?
Like being spared by a benevolent mark who then helps me escape from the crows? Yes, it does seem to happen now and again, doesn't it? It was after that when I learned that one needn't let a pretty face go to your head. Professionalism was key. That's my moral of the day, you see.
Is it actually? Are you sure about that? So you never mix business with pleasure. Really, Zevron?
Well, there is you. But I'll point out that you did have to capture me and tie me up first. Every rule has its exception. Now that I've mentioned tying me up in that context, do we have extra rope about?
Zevron.